Well, hello and welcome to another Hardcore Nuzlocke. Today I want to attempt a run of Pokemon SoulSilver using only electric types. Now this is the first time that we are using only electric types, and this is also the first time we're doing runs in SoulSilver. I like both of the games. There are different encounters across the games, of course. Nothing really changes with the electric type encounters in SoulSilver. I just feel like a change is nice and I'm feeling a bit nostalgic. I typically like to run in Heart Gold because I think running up the Tin Tower and getting to Ho-Oh is faster than Lugia at the Whirl Islands, but I may be wrong. It just feels faster to me. At the beginning of this month, I was informed that my biological mother had passed away. Now, before you guys run to the comment sections with condolences, over 20 years ago was the last time that I spoke to this individual, and for lack of better terms, that relationship passed away a long time ago. However, I do have two siblings that are dealing with it in vastly different ways, and I opened up some lines of communication, and I was sitting there talking to one of them. We were actually all adopted by the same family. I was the oldest of three. That is one of the best things that happened in the entire situation, is we all stayed together. But nonetheless, we were talking about things and trying to find some positive experiences from that time in our life. And we found a couple, but they were very few and far between and overshadowed by all of the negative things that happened. After the conversation was over, I continued to think about the subject, and again, one of those things that got me through that time was Pokemon Silver. So that's why I'm feeling a bit nostalgic and want to play a little bit of SoulSilver. I thought it'd be a nice little change of pace. Again, the encounters are roughly the same for electric types. It's just a fun game, right? I'm waffling on. Let's get into the run. Of course, none of the starters are electric types. We could change our starter to be an electric type and have one from the start, but we get one fairly early on, and there are some pretty neat encounters that we can mess around with in this game later on, so we're gonna pick Totodile. That gives our rival the grass starter Chikorita, and though neither one of us are super effective against the other, we will resist one another, and the battle in Azalea Town is going to be rather difficult. Also, Totodile, once it evolves into a Croconaw, can learn some really good HMs, making this a very good HM slave for the remainder of the game. So Box'em is what we're going to name it. It's going to be on the party for a little while, but eventually it's just going to sit in the box until we need it for HMs. Now, as we head to go help out Professor Elm with the mystery egg, let's talk about our encounters. We have Mareep south of Violet City on Route 32 that we can encounter. Once we get to Ecruteak, we can go to the Pokemon Center and we will run into Bill. We can then go back to Goldenrod and talk to him, and he will give us an Eevee. West of Ecruteak, we can get a Magnemite on Route 38. In Olivine, we can get our hands on the Good Rod, and then south on Route 41, we can fish up a Chinchou. And then in the Rocket Hideout, we can get our hands on a Voltorb. That gives us a total of 5 encounters. There is the roaming legendary Raikou as well, but we can't use that. Later on, we could also run into some of the Kanto legendaries, but again, we're not allowed to use legendaries, so that is 5 encounters. However, there was a device called the Pokewalker that was released back in September of 2009 in Japan in conjunction with Heart Gold and SoulSilver. Eventually, it was released with every single copy of Heart Gold and SoulSilver after that, and this thing can be used in conjunction with the games as a pedometer device that unlocks certain things after so many steps. After 20 steps, you will get yourself what is known as a Watt, which is the in-game currency on the Pokewalker, and using those different Watts, you can unlock different areas and catch different Pokemon. You can trade your Pokemon from Heart Gold and SoulSilver over, they can gain experience, all kinds of neat things can happen. But if we meet some certain criterias, we can get our hands on an Elekid from the suburban area. After 5,000 steps, it will be at a level 11 and it'll know some decent moves. We can then get our hands on the event Pikachu that has Surf. We can get our hands on the event Pikachu that has Fly. It'll be at level 14, and that just adds 2 more encounters, bringing our total to 7 and giving us a full team. It's something that was a real thing that people had. We could get our hands on one, and we can make this run happen. That gives us some really good electric types, and electric types are very fast. They hit pretty hard. The only bad thing is in this generation, they don't have a lot of type coverage, so we are going to have to make up the difference in some creative ways to try to beat the entirety of this game. Once we get back to Professor Elm's lab, the cops are investigating whoever broke into the lab, and they automatically assume it was me. Of course, there's Lyra to immediately stand up for us and inadvertently get us to snitch to the cops of who actually broke into the lab. It's pretty cheeky because snitches get stitches. But anyway, we name our rival Algorithm because why? That's what we're trying to beat both in-game and in real life. We are trying to beat that algorithm. If you guys want to help me beat the algorithm in real life, you can do so by liking the video, commenting, subscribing to the channel. Right now, at the time of recording, I'm at 600 subscribers. We have gained 100 in the last week and a half. It has been amazing. Thank you guys so much for the continued support. I see that 1,000 subscribers on the horizon. It's so close. I hope to get to that very, very soon and continue just progressing from there. You guys have been amazing. I don't know what else to say besides thank you so much. I hope you guys enjoy these videos. I enjoy so much putting them out. And if you guys want to continue the conversation or make new conversations after the videos are over, you can of course come to the Discord. It's always open for chit chat about video games and things like that. Link is in the description down below. I said this in my bug only run, but you should always have your mom save money. She can get you some really great items like the silk scarf and the choice scarf. She can get you those berries that weaken super effective moves. It is the most important thing you can do before starting your run of Heart Gold or Soul Silver. Have your mom save money. Right outside of New Bark, Lyra shows us how to catch Pokemon because we've never done it before, and I'm very glad to have an expert show us. She also gives us Pokeballs, and that technically starts our run. We still don't have an electric starter though, so now we're going to have to go to Route 32 and get our starter. But before we do that, we are going to catch some Sentrets on Route 29 because they have a chance of having an Oranberry, which this one does have. That might come in handy for the first gym battle against Faulkner. And we officially have our starter, a Mareep named Amp. It has a quirky neutral nature. We met this thing on Route 32. That is awesome. It has static. It has some decent IVs. I'll take it. I will take this Pokemon. Ampharos is great. In the Violet City Pokemon Center, there's this guy right here named Primo. Now, Primo is a guy that will give you wallpapers and some eggs if you give him certain codes. Now, to figure out these codes, you do have to go online, and you can generate these codes by telling the game you're playing and then your trainer ID, which is in the upper left of your trainer card. And that will generate the codes so you could potentially get some eggs from him like Mareep, Wooper, or Slugma, which is super awesome and just an added encounter. But the best thing about this is he is the guy from the Teachy TV from Fire Red and Leaf Green. Did you know? Fun little fact. I want to do a little bit of EV training. I can't do much because we have to do Sprout Tower. But EV training for special attack EVs on Route 32, we have to do it from Wild Mareeps. They have static, we have static. We only have a physical move until we get Thundershock at a level 11. I can't go fight Ghastlies at night in the Sprout Tower either until I get Thundershock because all I have is Tackle. So it is an extreme pain to fight a Mareep and then come all the way back here, heal up my Pokemon, and go back. It's going to take a little bit of time to do, but I am in it to win it. I want to get them special attack EVs. I'm only going to be able to get about 20 of them, but every little bit helps. Now, climbing Sprout Tower, when everybody has a Bellsprout who is a part grass type that resists electric type, it is a pain. Luckily for us, we've been able to make it through with using tackle for the most part. We're doing a decent amount of damage with tackle. We don't quite take out the Bellsprout with 3 tackles. We do the same thing with the second Bellsprout, but it looks like Thundershock does a little bit more damage, so we swap it up. And then the Hoot Hoot, we can take this thing out with 2 Thundershocks, but it puts us to sleep. We did have to watch our experience gain so that we're not breaking the level 13 cap before we get to Faulkner, which we managed to do. Perfect. Now, Faulkner shouldn't be that difficult, right? Flying types versus electric types. I've got an Oranberry. It should be fine. The only thing is his Pidgeotto has Roost, and it is kind of bulky. Pidgey, however, is not. We're going to take Pidgey out with a single Thundershock, bringing in Pidgeotto. With Roost, Pidgeotto will actually lose its flying type the first turn it uses Roost, so this could be a long battle. We fire off a Thundershock, but Pidgeotto outspeeds us to hit us with a tackle, and it procs our static ability. That's it. We win. That was the luckiest thing that could happen. We hit it with a Thundershock for well over half of its health, and unless Faulkner goes for a potion, we outspeed it and take it out with a follow-up Thundershock. Easy first gym badge. Immediately after getting the mystery egg from the guy in the Pokemart, here comes one of the kimono girls to talk about eggs, and all I can think about while she's saying egg is, yes, eggs. Scrambled, hard-boiled, they're delicious. Is that understood? Yes. You're counting on me? Eggs. So from the suburban area of the Pokewalker, we get our next encounter, an Elekid named Volt. It has an Impish plus defense minus special attack nature. That's fine. No plus attack, but I'll take it. There's no minus attack either. This thing has low kick and thunder punch when we get it too, which is amazing. And now we have access to Rock Smash, so we taught it to Croconaw, and we are at the Ruins of Alph smashing rocks to get colored shards. We want blue shards and green shards and red shards and yellow shards. We want all the different shards, right? Each shard is going to get us a different set of berries, and we are going to spend some time here smashing rocks, getting as many of these shards as we can. I don't know how many I want. At least 5 of each would be great. The citrus berries, the lum berries, we want all the berries. And then, of course, outside of the Violet City Pokemon Center, we can trade them to this shard guy, and he will give us the different berries. Like I said, all of these berries are very important, but lum berries are great. Oran berries are great. Citrus berries are great. This is going to help us out so much. Plus, we can use Natural Gift with all of these different berries that he's given us and have a variety of attacks, which is one of the creative ways that we're going to have to sidestep the lack of type coverage. For Bugsy, I decided to lead with Volt. Volt is a little more bulky than Amp, so it should stand up to Scyther just a little bit better, and I think it's going to outspeed it. I'm not 100% sure. Turn 1, I decide to go for Thunder Punch, and sure enough, we do outspeed the Scyther. Wonderful. We take it deep into the yellow health, and we get the paralysis proc. That's beautiful. The citrus berry heals it back up to about half health, and Scyther throws the battle by going for Leer. That's it. Game over. Metapod and Kakuna can't do anything to us. We take the Scyther out with one more Thunder Punch. Out comes Metapod. We hit Metapod with a Thunder Punch, and it takes it just below half health. Metapod goes for Tackle, which does 5 HP of damage, and it gets paralyzed. One more Thunder Punch takes out the Metapod, bringing out the Kakuna. Now, as the Kakuna comes out, we're not going to take it out with a single Thunder Punch, and it's just going to go for Poison Sting. If we got poisoned, it wouldn't matter. We still got Amp in the back, and while this battle finishes out in the background, did you guys notice that each and every one of my runs has a different background? Nobody has ever said anything in every single run I've ever done. Last time on the poison run it was purple. On the electric run this time it's yellow. I was just wondering if you guys noticed that neat little detail that I throw in each one of these videos as I win my second gym badge. As we're leaving Azalea Town, we have a battle with our rival Algo. This battle is extremely difficult. The Ghastly and the Zubat, no problem, but the Bayleaf in the back is going to be a pain. It has Reflect, it has Synthesis. I bet you never thought you would hear somebody say that Bayleaf is going to be a problem. Ghastly, like I said, not a problem. It goes down to a single Thunder Punch. Zubat comes out, it too goes down to a single Thunder Punch, even more so because it's flying. Bayleaf comes out. This is where things can get really rough. I decide to go for Leer turn 1, and Bayleaf sets up Reflect. Turn 2 I go for Leer again, and Bayleaf goes for Poison Powder, which I anticipated because I heal it off with a Pecha Berry. Turn 3 I go for Leer again, and Bayleaf goes for Poison Powder. Now we're on a timer, now I gotta start attacking. I go for a resisted Thunder Punch that does about a quarter because of the resistance and the reflect. And we get the paralysis. That is amazing. Bayleaf stays paralyzed. I go for another Thunder Punch down to half health, and Bayleaf goes for Synthesis. This is where things get annoying. I go for Thunder Punch again after the reflect drops, and it does almost half. That's unfortunate, but Bayleaf stays paralyzed. I decide to go for Quick Attack, which takes it deep into the red health, and Bayleaf stays paralyzed. That is amazing. That is some super RNG for us because we can take it out with one more Quick Attack, winning us this very difficult battle. Jeez. Now that we're in Goldenrod, we can go to the top of the department store on floor 6, and we can try our hand at the lottery. For $300 a pull, we can try to get the number 1 prize, and each day it's something different. Today, it's the TM for Flash Cannon, which is going to be useful for an encounter later. I also want to get my hands on the Charge Beam TM tomorrow, so hopefully we got enough money to do both of those. You don't have to do it once and wait for a week. You can keep doing it until you run out of money, because it's a lottery. Gambling. I'm not addicted. We can also head over to the game corner and start grinding out coins for the Thunderbolt TM. I think we need at least 2, which is 20,000 coins. That's going to take a long time to get it with the Voltorb flip, but I'm in it to win it. Again, I'm not addicted. I don't have a problem. I can stop when I want. Against Whitney, we are going to lead with Volt once again because we do have a super effective move in Low Kick. Against her lead Clefairy, we go for Low Kick, and surprisingly it doesn't do a lot of damage because Clefairy really isn't that heavy. Clefairy goes for Double Slap, and did you know that Double Slap, every time it hits, has a chance to proc the static ability? Now you know. Thunder Punch takes it deep into the yellow health, and it hits us with another Double Slap. The second Double Slap in gets the paralysis proc, like I said. That's awesome, but it doesn't matter because one more Thunder Punch does take out the Clefairy. Out comes Miltank. We go for Low Kick against the Miltank, and it doesn't do a lot of damage. That's not great. Miltank hits us with a Stomp, down to 8 HP, and gets paralyzed, but Miltank has a Lumberry. That's unfortunate. We do have to swap at this point, so I bring in Amp, who gets hit with a Stomp down to 41 HP. I am so glad I grinded up the coins to get a Thunderbolt TM. We get hit with another Stomp down to 22 HP, and it procs our static ability once more, paralyzing the Miltank. Our Citrus Berry activates, healing up some health, and that's it. All of this RNG right here, we win. We hit the Miltank with a Thunderbolt down into yellow health, and because it's paralyzed, we outspeed it and we hit it with another Thunderbolt for the win. If I only had Thunder Shock, we would have lost that battle. It was well worth the grind. The only annoying thing about Johto is these gym leaders do not want to give you a badge. We have to walk away. This person comes talk to us, then we go back and get the badge. Just give me the badge. Come on, let's go. Thank you. So from the special event, we can get ourselves a Pikachu named Ohm. It came equipped with a Lumberry, and it has a Timid plus speed minus attack nature. I'll take the plus speed. That'll work for me. This thing also has the moveset of Surf, Thunderbolt, Thunder Wave, and Quick Attack. That is awesome. And later on, we're going to get some decent TMs for this Pokemon. and it's going to have a little bit of type coverage, making it pretty nice. Once we can get our hands on a couple of Thunderstones as well, we can evolve this and the future Eevee, having some great bulk added to the team, along with some great speed. As I was walking down this route, I noticed that the back sprite of Elekid as it's walking with me looks like the SpongeBob, I'm ready, I'm ready. It doesn't look like it when it's facing forward, like this. But from the back, tell me I'm wrong. That I'm not wrong. That's exactly what it looks like. Now that we're in Ekritique, we come to the Pokemon Center, and here is Bill. We get to talk to him whether we like it or not. But the nice thing is, after he talks to us about the storage system, yada yada yada, we can go back to Goldenrod and get our next encounter. In his house in Goldenrod, he asks us if we'll take an Eevee, and who wouldn't? Eevee is a great Pokemon. I don't care what you evolve it into. They all have a place. I've used every single one of them. I love every single evolution. Just before we got our hands on the Eevee, we did get our hands on a Magnemite named Farad. It has a relaxed plus defense minus speed nature. I don't like the minus speed of a future Magneton, but this Pokemon is amazing. Our Eevee that we got, we named Henry, and it has a hasty plus speed minus defense nature. The minus defense isn't great, but the plus speed is. And for a future Jolteon, couldn't ask for better. It's got some decent IVs as well, it looks like. I'm happy to have such a well-versed team. I just wish we had a little bit more type coverage. After a bunch of grinding in the Pokeathlon, which I tend to have fun doing, just turn on a YouTube video and go nuts, we can buy a Thunderstone, but unfortunately you can only buy one a week, which means I have to wait one more week to get another Thunderstone to evolve Ohm into a Raichu. I'm going to evolve Henry into a Jolteon so it's a viable member of the team. I'm then going to take Henry, Farad, Ohm, and Amp back to the Sprout Tower, wait till nighttime, and I'm going to do as much EV training as I can into special attack EVs until I just can't do it anymore. This is going to take a very long time. Oh boy. But all the EV training and all the grinding we did to get a second Thunderbolt TM is well worth it. Case in point, here against Morty, we lead with Henry. Henry has been EV trained in special attack EVs to the max. We can outspeed all of his Pokemon. We can also one-shot the Ghastly with a single Thunderbolt. Out comes Gengar. We hit it with a very strong Thunderbolt deep into the red health. We don't quite one-shot it. Citrus Berry pulls it out of healing range, and it just whiffs a Hypnosis. I did have a held Lumberry just in case. I didn't know if we were going to get hit with Confusion or Sleep. Doesn't matter. We knock out the Gengar. All we have left are both of Morty's Haunters, which, if we almost knocked out the Gengar, we're going to knock out the Haunters. The first one comes out, and we hit it with a Thunderbolt, and it is a clean one-shot. The last Haunter comes out, and it too falls to a single Thunderbolt. The grind was well worth it. How do you say this name? Baoba? The dude that runs the Safari Zone always interrupts me, and I never put it on the camera. I just don't know how to say your name, dude. Yeah, that's cool. That's cool you're opening the Safari Zone. It's just too bad there is not one single encounter that's going to help us. Thanks. Thanks for nothing. With the level cap at 31, 3 of our Pokemon on our team are going to evolve at level 30. Starting off with Amp evolving into a beastly Ampharos. This thing does get Signal Beam and Power Gem later. That's awesome. This is a welcome addition and bulk added to the team. Next is Farad evolving into a Magneton. Giving the Magnemite line the Steel typing in Generation 2 was amazing. This Pokemon is phenomenal. We used it in a Fire Red run that we soloed. With the right hidden power, this Pokemon is unbeatable. Last for level up evolutions is Volt evolving into Electabuzz. Electabuzz is a Pokemon from Gen 1 that I actually have never really used in any of my playthroughs. It is also the only physical attacker on the team, so I welcome it with open arms. I did wait another week and got another Thunderstone from the Pokeathlon, and we can go ahead and evolve Ohm into a beastly Raichu. Wow, the team is rounding out so nice. After getting the good rod on Route 41, we can catch ourselves a Chinchou named Hertz. It has a rash plus special attack minus special defense nature. That's great. Welcome to the team, Hertz. Never used one. I'm excited. While we're grinding, Chinchou evolves at level 27, so we can go ahead and get our hands on a lantern. We're grinding just before Chuck here. This rounds out the bulk on the team. Wow. Just amazing. Against Chuck, I don't have a good answer into his Primeape, but I have a great answer into his Poliwrath. I am going to lead with Amp against his Primeape. We taunted the TM for Charge Beam. I hope we get a couple special attack boosts. This will guarantee us a kill against the Poliwrath. Rock Slide doesn't do a lot of damage to us. We fire off a Charge Beam against the Primeape, and it does do well over half of its health. And we get this special attack boost. That's awesome. We get hit with another Rock Slide down to about half health, just over, and we fire off another Charge Beam that KOs the Primeape, and it gets another special attack boost. That's awesome. Poliwrath comes out, and it outspeeds us and goes for Hypnosis, which misses. It doesn't matter, had it hit, we do have a Lumberry equipped just in case. We fire off a Thunderbolt against the Poliwrath, and we one-shot it, winning us a very, very easy 4th gym badge. But our lack of type coverage is starting to show through. Hey, it's not every day you run into one of the Robin legendaries. Hey, Entei, I'm gonna try to catch you. I can't use you, but we're just heading to Mahogany Town right now, and I ran into this thing in the water. Awesome. Yeah, didn't think I was gonna catch you, but it was fun nonetheless. That's cool. Hey, Lance, we found the hideout. Oh my god! Jeez, you can't do that against a human? What is wrong with these people in the Johto region? It is lawless. It is a feral country. Jeez. I'm a little scared to go in this basement with you, dude. After defeating all the rockets and getting access to this machine, we've got to shut it down. But unfortunately, somebody didn't put a switch on it. You should probably hire a better electrician. I'm right here. And he needs us to faint the electrodes. You want us to do what? 2 electric type? Oh, this just isn't right, man. This doesn't feel right at all. Price's team is a little bit weird. He's got 2 ice types and a pure water type. One of the ice types is immune to electric, and the other one is weak to electric. So random. His seal, pure water type, not an ice type. It's also unevolved, which means a single Thunder Punch from our evolved Electabuzz is going to one-shot it. Piloswine comes out, and we do have Natural Gift. I have a Rostberry equipped. It deals Grass-type damage. We fire off a Grass-type Natural Gift, and it doesn't quite do half. We get hit with a Mud Bomb in return that also doesn't quite do half. I then go for Headbutt against the Piloswine, taking it to yellow health. Citrus Berry pulls it right back up to half health, but we flinched it. Very nice. I go for Headbutt once again, dropping this thing back to middle yellow health, and Piloswine sets up the Hail. I've decided I've used up all the RNG I can, and if it gets a critical hit with Mud Bomb, especially with the Hail chip damage, he's going to knock us out, so I swap into Ohm. Ohm gets hit with a Mud Bomb that doesn't quite do half of its health, but it does get the accuracy drop, which is annoying. I fire off a Surf against the Piloswine, which connects, and it KOs it. After the chip damage from Hail, as the Dugong comes out, we are sitting at 44 HP, so I decide I need to swap out, because if we get hit with a critical hit, we will lose a Pokemon. Out comes Henry, who gets hit with an Aura Beam that does 36 damage. That would have left us at 8 HP if we would have left Ohm in. We fire off a Thunderbolt that cleanly one-shots the Dugong, winning us the gym battle. Back to Olivine to take on Jasmine and her Steel types. I know that she is not the 7th gym leader, she is technically the 6th, but her level cap is 1 level higher. I don't get it. I lead with Hertz, who does take super effective damage from electric type moves, but I have Stab Surf that is enough to take out the Magnemite in one shot. It's kind of the only option I had. The second Magnemite comes out, and it too falls to a single Stab Surf. This brings out the Steelix, Steelix is weak to water type because of its ground typing, and we fire off a stab super effective serve, and it puts this thing at a sliver of health, 1 HP. Citrus Berry pulls it out of healing range, and I don't know what it is with these gym leaders throwing the battles because Steelix just goes for Screech. That's insane to me. We fire off another Surf that wins us the 6th gym badge, technically our 7th. I did catch a Voltorb named Watt in the Team Rocket HQ. It has a Jolly plus speed minus special attack nature. This thing could be a good physical attacker, and it also can go boom. I just don't know if it's going to be on the team. You're going to sit in the box for now, friend. We won't forget about you. We'll probably forget about you. Sorry. And when you guys are playing your very real copy of SoulSilver on your very real DS, recording your own videos, you may get this visual glitch on the emulator DS, not an emulator, that is annoying. It doesn't always show up like this, but what you can do to fix it is save your game and then hit Control R, or go up to File and hit Reset. It's that simple. All you have to do is reset your game, go back through the menu, reload your game. You don't have to close out the program or nothing. Boom. It's fixed. Just an FYI. Best thing about this team is Farad against Petrol's coughings and wheezings. We one-shot them, we outspeed them, so we don't have to worry about them blowing up, but even if they did, like his wheezing could have, we outsped it. But we're steel type. We resist it. We could tank a couple of explosions or a couple of self-destructs, no problem. It's really nice because this is always a nerve-wracking part of the game, and so far I've lucked out in the 3 runs that I've done. So in the basement hideout for the Rockets, there's another battle with Algo. He's mad that you're interfering with Team Rocket. I don't know, he hates Team Rocket, but your dad's Giovanni, dude, I'm just saying. We have to battle him, and he is no longer the formidable foe that he once was. We have Henry, the Algorithm Slayer. We cleanly one-shot the Golbat with a single Thunderbolt. Out comes Sneasel. Sneasel goes down to a single Thunderbolt as well. Next up is his Magnemite. We don't have a super effective move against it, but we fire off a Thunderbolt, and surprisingly, even though it's not very effective, we cleanly one-shot it. Again, special attack EVs were invested. Meganium comes out at this point, and Henry has a hidden power, Ice. So I taught it hidden power. It's also pretty decently strong, doesn't quite do half of its health. Meganium goes for its old tricks, setting up a Reflect. Another hidden power, Ice, takes it out. Last but not least is Haunter, and we have Shadow Ball that we got from Morty, so we take out his Haunter with one single attack, winning us a very, very easy rival battle. Last for the Johto gyms is Claire. Now Claire, this battle always scares me. Years ago I did a Nuzlocke long before the channel, and this is where I wiped. Her Gyarados is not scary at all. I have a stab, quad, super effective Thunderbolt that is going to one-shot this thing. There's no way it survives. But her Kingdra is a lottery. You never know what it's going to do. It's very similar to the Gen 1 Agatha lottery when you fight her in the Elite Four. You just don't know what's going to happen. I think I'm prepared. Let's see. Gyarados falls to a single Thunderbolt. Out comes Dragonair. We do have hidden power Ice, so we fire that off and it takes it down to about 5 HP. We get hit with a fairly weak Aqua Tail. Claire goes for a Hyper Potion. I fire off a Shadow Ball doing some chip damage, and it does about half, so I decide, we'll take it out with another Shadow Ball. But this is where I made my mistake. It doesn't KO it, leaving it on a sliver of health, so Dragonair can fire back an Aqua Tail that crits us to 10 HP. We take out the Dragonair with a follow-up Shadow Ball, and out comes Kingdra. Here we go. Here's the lottery. I swap into Farad, who gets hit with a Hydro Pump on the swap in, down to 12 HP. This is what I'm talking about, man. I swap in Amp, who gets hit with a Dragon Pulse because Kingdra went from a random move. We were in kill range. We then get hit with a Hydro Pump down to 20 HP. Had it crit, we would have lost Amp. We fire off a Thunderbolt that takes it below half health, activating its Citrus Berry. which brings it back up to about 3/4 health, and I swap into Volt. Kingdra misses a Hydro Pump. That's beautiful. I can now set up a Light Screen. The incoming Hydro Pump doesn't do a lot of damage after the Light Screen, and I decide to go for a Headbutt to bring this thing below half health. Kingdra misses another Hydro Pump, and we hit it with a Thunder Punch to KO it. But it doesn't. No, it's going to leave it on a sliver of health. It does paralyze it, but Kingdra fires off a massive Hyper Beam. Luckily, this move is special in Gen 4, so Light Scream coming in clutch. I should swap, but I stay in thinking she's going to heal, but she doesn't. She just lets her Kingdra go. I know you have another potion. Her last Dragonair comes out, and I decide to swap into Hertz. We swap into a Thunder Wave, which is extremely annoying, and the Light Screen wears off. Dragonair hits us with a Dragon Pulse that doesn't do a lot of damage, and I fire off a super effective Ice Beam that takes it down to 1/4 of its health. And Claire goes for a full restore. I told you she had another one. We stay paralyzed and get hit with another Dragon Pulse down to below half health, and I fire off an Ice Beam, taking this thing back down to 1/4 health. I decide I can't live a crit, so I swap into Ohm. We get hit with a Dragon Pulse on the swap in, and we fire off a Thunderbolt that knocks out the Dragonair. We made it through. We didn't lose a single Pokemon, but goodness. Seriously, just look at the team. Completely obliterated from that battle. We're lucky to walk away with no deaths. After the Dragon's Den stuff, we have to battle the Kimono Girls. They each have an evolution, and it is one right after the other, no healing between battles. And whatever our starter is, that's it. We can't swap it, we can't heal it. This is harder than most other battles. Umbreon is a bulky Pokemon to start off with, and then they come at us with an Espeon. Espeon hits so hard with Psychic. We do a lot of damage with Signal Beam, but we've got to swap. There's nothing we can do. I decide to swap into Farad, hoping it will resist Psychic a little bit, which it does, because it has to tank 2, and it takes it out with a Flash Cannon. Next up is Flareon. We can take this thing down with a Stab super effective Surf. Next is Jolteon, and this one's even worse because it has Volt Absorb. We don't have a super effective move against it. It likes to set up double teams. Surf doesn't quite do half. So now we need to swap into somebody else. I swap into Ohm, who gets hit with a Thunder Wave. We get hit with another Thunderbolt, and despite all of that, we do manage to get a Focus Blast that doesn't quite KO it. And then Last Resort takes us to 19 HP. I've got to swap again so that I don't lose a Pokemon, and I decide for a mirror match with Henry. Shadow Ball knocks out the Jolteon, and last but not least is the Vaporeon. This is the least of my worries. We do a decent amount of damage with Thunderbolt, and Aurora Beam doesn't do much to us, so we can take it out, but my goodness, we almost lost 2 Pokemon again. Last thing that we have to do before we go to the Elite Four is meet the Kimono Girls at the bottom of the Whirl Island so that they can summon in Lugia. This is a pretty cool cinematic for the time, and I think it still holds up nowadays. That might just be the nostalgia talking, but I really do love these old games, and for the time, you know, this was some pretty powerful cinematic stuff on the Nintendo DS. Just watch this Lugia bust through the waterfall, man. It's amazing. It really is, truly. Boom, that's so cool. Now, we have a choice. We can either fight this thing and beat it, or we can capture it. It really doesn't matter. The great thing about these remakes is you can get these Pokemon back if you do defeat them. The old games, you couldn't do that. It was kind of a one chance and you're done. So we're going to surf on out there and meet up with the Guardian of the Sea, Lugia. And Henry, the Legend Slayer, is going to fire off a Thunderbolt, tank an extra sensory to the face, and KO it with one more T-Bolt. Thank you. Now can I go to the dang Elite Four? This lady's never happy with that choice, but she does say that it will come back once things have settled. And these guys say hello to Professor Elm. Do they all say the same thing? They do. I've never even really checked them before. Neat. It is kind of eerie to run through Victory Road and there's no trainers. We do have Algorithm at the end to battle us, but Algorithm's not a problem anymore. I'm just curious of why they didn't put any trainers in the Victory Road. I know that on the Game Boy stuff, it had its limitations, and that's why they didn't have Viridian Forest, and they didn't have the Safari Zone, they didn't have Cerulean Cave. They could only do so much with the hardware that they had. These games, when they came out, they added that stuff back. Victory Road is bigger. It's not so cut and dry. The Safari Zone is back. It's just over at Cianwood City. There's the Viridian Forest. Cerulean Cave is back. All this stuff I don't understand. But, I mean, it's still cool. We do get through the entirety of Victory Road with some repels for free. So here is the team all leveled up and ready to take on the Elite Four. We have Henry with Thunderbolt, Shadow Ball, Sand Attack, and Hidden Power. We have Hertz with Thunderbolt, Surf, Ice Beam, and Signal Beam. That is our best type coverage, Hertz. Volt has Thunder Punch, Light Screen, Natural Gift, and Return. Amp has Charge Beam, Signal Beam, Thunderbolt, and Thunder Wave, starting to get a little bit of type coverage there. Farad has Flash Cannon, Thunderbolt, Supersonic, and Thunder Wave, and last but not least is Ohm with Thunderbolt, Surf, Thunder Wave, and Focus Blast. Can this ragtag team beat the Elite Four? I don't know. I honestly think that Bruno is going to be our biggest challenge. First up for the Elite Four is Will. I decided to lead with Amp against his Psychic types because both of his Zatus and Slowbro are weak to electric moves. His Jinx and his Executor are weak to Signal Beam. Against the first Zatu, we actually get outsped and hit with Confuse Ray. We break through Confusion and we fire off a Charge Beam against the Zatu, cleanly one-shotting it. I was fishing for a special attack buff. Out comes Jinx. Jinx 2 outspeeds us and hits us with a very strong Psychic for well over half. We break through Confusion to fire off a Signal Beam, but it doesn't quite KO it, so I'm forced to swap. We send out Hertz, and Will goes for a full restore. We then get hit with a Psychic, but it doesn't do a lot of damage to Hertz, and we fire off a Signal Beam that crits one-shotting the Jinx. Out comes Executor. We outspeed it and one-shot it with a quad super effective Signal Beam. Out comes Slowbro. We outspeed it and KO it with a super effective Thunderbolt. The last Zatu comes out, and of course it outspeeds us once again to hit us with a Confuse Ray, but we break through Confusion to KO it with a Thunderbolt. Against Koga, we are leading with Farad. We have a Steel-type Pokemon, it has a Poison-type immunity. There is not much that his team can do to our Magneton, so sorry, Koga. Against his lead, Ariados, we fire off a Thunderbolt that cleanly one-shots it. Out comes Fortress. We fire off a Thunderbolt and it takes it deep into the red health. He just fires back with a Swift that does 11 HP of damage. Koga goes for a full restore. We take it back down to red health with a Thunderbolt, and Fortress is being a little cheeky going for Protect. We eventually get off one more Thunderbolt to KO the Fortress. Out comes Venomoth. It's a bug poison type, not flying, so Thunderbolt doesn't quite KO it. However, Venomoth just whiffs a Supersonic, so we take it out with a Flash Cannon. Out comes Crobat. Crobat outspeeds us to set up a double team, and we miss a Thunderbolt. It sets up another double team, and we miss another Thunderbolt. Crobat then hits us with a very weak Quick Attack, and we KO it with a Thunderbolt. Out comes Muck. We fire off a Thunderbolt that does well over half of its health, and it just goes for Minimize. Heals up a little bit with Black Sludge. We break through the +1 evasion, and we KO it with another Thunderbolt. That was a very easy Koga battle. I have nothing super effective against fighting types. Farad can't really do much in this battle because we're weak to fighting types, plus Hitmonchan has all of the elemental punches. The other thing that I forgot is Hitmontop has Dig. I fire off a Thunderbolt turn 1 that does well over half of Hitmontop's health. I should have had the berry that has super effective ground moves. This is why you got to do your research. We whiff a Thunder Wave on purpose, and we get hit with a Dig that had this thing crit, it would have cleanly one-shot us, no problem. We take out the Hitmontop with one more Thunderbolt, and out comes Bruno's fighting type Onix. We take it out with a quad super effective Surf, and out comes Machamp. I know I need to swap out immediately, so I swap into Volt. We get hit with a Rock Slide on the swap in, and it crits to 21 HP. Of course it does. I'm getting flashbacks to the Claire battle already. I decide to swap in Amp on a Revenge that doesn't do a lot of damage. We fire off a Thunderbolt that does well over half of its health, but its Citrus Berry pulls it back up over half, and it hits us with a Cross Chop down to 3 HP. It's so close, I might be able to KO this thing with a Thunderbolt, but I don't want to risk it, so I decide to swap into Hertz. It gets hit with a Cross Chop on the swap in that does a lot of damage down to 78 HP, but luckily I had a Citrus Berry equipped. We fire off a Thunderbolt and it crits, KOing the Machamp. Out comes Hitmonlee. Hitmonlee goes for Focus Energy turn 1. We hit it with a Thunderbolt that doesn't quite do half. That is very annoying. Luckily for us, Hitmonlee whiffs a Swagger, so we fire off a Surf that does a little bit more than the Thunderbolt, and Bruno goes for a full restore. We go for Thunderbolt again, fishing for that paralysis, and we do a little over half this time. And Hitmonlee hits us with a Swagger, where we become confused, and of course we hit ourselves in confusion. Don't want to risk any kind of critical hits, so I decide to swap into Henry. We get hit with a high jump kick down to 22 HP, and I have no other choice but to risk it for the biscuits. And we KO the Hitmonlee with a Thunderbolt. I have a little bit higher special attack on Henry than I do on Hertz. Last is Hitmonchan, so I decide to swap into Farad because I think Hitmonchan has Mach Punch, but it just went for Ice Punch, which is random. We go for Thunderbolt on the Hitmonchan, and we do well over half of its health, and it hits us with a Fire Punch down to 60 HP, and we KO it with one more Thunderbolt, winning us a very, very Claire-like scary battle. Last for the Elite Four is Karen. Karen likes to lead with a very bulky Umbreon. I did teach Ohm the Focus Blast TM. I know people call it Focus Miss, but I do have a Zoom Lens. So the combination, I'm hoping it hits. Surprisingly enough, it actually does connect, and it does well over half of its health. That is amazing. Umbreon sets up Double Team, so not wanting to mess around with low accuracy moves, I go for Thunderbolt, and we knock out the Umbreon. Out comes Murkrow. Murkrow has Sucker Punch, so it does a lot of damage to us, about 54 HP, but we cleanly one-shot it with a Thunderbolt. Out comes Houndoom, and I really don't want to risk Flamethrower getting a crit, so I swap into Hertz to resist the Flamethrower. It doesn't do a lot of damage, but of course, why wouldn't it burn? Why not? I was hoping it would burn. Houndoom then sets up Nasty Plot, and I go for Surf that takes this thing down below half HP. Citrus Berry brings it back up over half so we can KO it with one more Surf, but she preemptively swaps into Vileplume. So Vileplume doesn't take a lot of damage with a Surf. I know this thing's going to go for Petal Dance, so I need to swap out, plus the burn damage is annoying. Henry comes in on a Petal Dance that does about a third, and we fire off a Hidden Power Grass deep into the red health. We get hit with another Petal Dance down to 34 HP, and we take out the Vileplume. Out next for Karen is her Gengar, so I swap into Volt on a Focus Blast. It doesn't do a lot of damage, but just over half of our health remaining. We go for a Thunder Punch that takes this thing down to half health, and it goes for Spike. That's random. We KO it with one more Thunder Punch, bringing the Houndoom back out. We hit it with a Thunder Punch, and it goes away, winning us the Elite Four. For Lance, I'm going to lead with Henry. I have Thunderbolt for his Gyarados, his Charizard, and his Aerodactyl, and Hidden Power Ice for the 3 Dragonites. I do have a minus defense nature and a low defense IV, so I don't know if I can survive an outrage from the Ace Dragonite, but we're going to have to wait and see what happens. Against the Gyarados, however, a quad super effective stab Thunderbolt is going to one-shot it. This is Pokemon law. It is the only thing that is absolute. Gyarados has to die. Out comes Dragonite. We fire off a Hidden Power Ice. I am holding the Never Melt Ice. It is quad super effective. The health bar ticks down, and it leaves it with a sliver of health. It heals up with its Citrus Berry to pull it out of potion range. Can we survive? Yes, we can, because that's a safeguard. What is with you guys throwing the battles? That's it. We're definitely going to take out the other two Dragonites. His Ace Dragonite falls to one more hidden power ice. Out comes one of the other two Dragonites. I don't know which one this is. We fire off a quad super effective hidden power ice. And as I said, it is enough to one-shot it. Wonderful, wonderful, wonderful. The next Dragonite comes out and we do the same. We fire off a hidden power ice against it. Quad super effective once again. I think holding the Never Melt ice was the key here because we do one-shot it. I battled back and forth between the choice specs or not, but I can't lock myself in a move, right? We couldn't switch to Thunderbolt. Out comes Charizard, and we fire off a Thunderbolt against the Charizard. And I don't know why these health bars tick down so slowly, but it is enough to one-shot the Charizard. Is Henry gonna solo Lance? Are you the MVP of the team, friend? Out comes Aerodactyl, his last Pokemon. We actually outspeed it, one of the few Pokemon that can outspeed an Aerodactyl. We fire off a super effective Thunderbolt stab that cleanly one-shots, winning us the Elite Four, winning us the battle, winning us the run. Henry, you are a freaking beast. Wow. So once your Pokemon get inducted into the Hall of Fame, and you go through all of the stuff of seeing them, and it shows the team, and you get your Pokedex evaluated, the credits roll. That is the end of the game. Everything from that point forward is technically post-game. So for those of you that were in my comment section of the Bug-type run saying that wasn't a legitimate run because I didn't do the Kanto stuff, you're wrong. Right now, I have beat this game. I have beat this run with the electric types. Technically, this run is over. But because of how popular the Kanto stuff is and the fact that we did this deathless, I think I want to see how far these electric types can go. I think we're going to go do the Kanto stuff. Plus, the people speak and the people win, right? This is peer pressure at its finest. So now that all of my Pokemon have been inducted into the Hall of Fame, let's start the post-game. Man, popping up in Vermilion City is so much nostalgia. Now, getting to Kanto, these gym leaders are super easy, especially with a team that's starting to get some decent moves. We can get our hands on a couple of different hidden powers now that we're here. We can go buy them from the game corner in Celadon. But there's actually an order to these gym leaders. Right now the level cap is level 50 because we actually need to go all the way around to Fuchsia City and take on Janine first. Not Lieutenant Surge, Janine. And as I said, none of these battles are really that difficult. For Janine, we're going to take the same strategy that we had against her father Koga in the Elite Four. We're going to go with Farad in there, just below the level cap as a matter of fact, and we're going to be able to knock out all of her Pokemon. We do have to fight through confusion just a little bit because I forgot a berry, but really none of these gym trainers are that difficult. I did a part 2 of my normal type run because my normal type Pokemon were very weak. I think I had some very bad natures and I had some very bad IVs on a lot of those Pokemon. So we barely made it through, and I'm honestly surprised that we beat Red. This team, however, is going to go all the way. Second for the Kanto gym leaders is actually Lieutenant Surge with a level cap of level 53. Now this battle isn't bad. Farad actually has the hidden power ground type. Unfortunately, his Electabuzz has Light Screen, and in Generation 4, hidden power is special. In Generation 3, it was based on whatever your attack was. So if you had any special type attack like fire, ice, or water, then it was special. But if you had another move like ground or rock, it was physical. It's a neat thing to play around with in Generation 3, but it's also neat in this generation that it is special because we can play with it just a little bit more. Sitting at 13 HP, we finally do take out the Electabuzz, and out comes the first of 2 Electrodes, so we swap back out to Farad. I'm breezing through these battles because I wanted to show them off, but I also want to show you that they are really easy. Lieutenant Surge does give me a little bit of a fit just because of that Light Screen. We don't quite KO the Electrode with one single hidden power. If we did a little bit more EV training, I don't think my EVs are maxed out on any of my Pokemon. I need to go do that. A lot of these Pokemon are getting outsped and stuff, so we need to see what's going on. We can take out the Electrode with a combination Flash Cannon Hidden Power, and that brings out his own Farad, Magneton. Shockwave doesn't do a lot to us, but we have Hidden Power Fire on Ampharos. I have some decent hidden powers on some of these Pokemon. Misty and Brock have the same level cap at level 54. Now, I was in the neighborhood because we did all the powerhouse stuff, getting the power back on, and then we headed back to Johto to get the Brick Break TM for Volt. Quagsire didn't go down to a natural gift Grass and almost takes us out with an Earthquake, but we take it out with a Return. I kind of wasn't paying attention. I was on autopilot at this point, but luckily I was paying attention enough that we didn't lose a Pokemon. We managed to get through the battle relatively unscathed, however. Misty gave us a run for the money, considering she is a Water-type trainer. I do have plenty of Pokemon in the back. We bring out Henry to take on Starmie, and we win. Hell, you'll notice that some of these battles, I don't even come in at the level cap. Some of my Pokemon are still under-leveled because I'm just running through this. I decided to lead with Ohm against the Rock types because it has Surf to take out the first 3 Pokemon, but I also got the Grass Knot TM from Route 11 to take out the Omastar and the Kabutops. Brock was easy. Sabrina isn't really that difficult, but she is next at level 55. We can take on her Espeon with Henry that has Shadow Ball. 2 Shadow Balls take it out, and we tank Psychic pretty decent. Mr. Mime sets up a light screen, which is annoying. I decide I don't want to deal with the light screen, so I swap into our only physical attacker. It whiffs a Mimic, and we take it out with a Return. This works in our favor because we can take out the Alakazam relatively easy. Next up is Erica. She has a level cap of 56, and Amp has a Hidden Power Fire and Signal Beam. So switching between the 2 different moves, we can take out her Grass types, her Grass Poison type, Grass Flying type, stuff like that. Signal Beam on her pure Grass types. We can do some significant damage. Signal Beam does a lot more damage than Hidden Power does, but we were never going to lose this battle. Now the next person that we're going to fight is Blaine, and then we have to fight Blue. It's at this point that we are now in a numerical order, but before it was kind of just however you wanted to do it. But staying within the level caps, this is the order that you need to do things. Erica was never going to be an issue. I still have 5 other Pokemon in the back had we lost any more health. Next up is Blaine. His level cap is 59, and we have Hertz. Magcargo is quad weak to water, so it goes down in a single shot. Magmar doesn't stand a chance, and he doesn't have his Arcanine. He's got Rapidash, which outspeeds us and goes for Bounce, but we take it out. Now here we are at the real challenge of Kanto, Blue. He doesn't have a monotype team. He has a very well-versed team. They are at decent levels. He is a formidable trainer. I have a counter to every single one of his Pokemon with Hertz except for Machamp. We fire off a quad super effective Signal Beam against the Executor, and it's going to one-shot it. It will one-shot it every single time. His Machamp has Earthquake. I've got the Berry that has super effective damage from ground-type moves, but I don't know if we can survive an Earthquake. Out comes Rhydon, and we fire off a quad stab super effective Surf that cleanly one-shots it, and out comes Machamp. My heart sinks a little bit, but I decide to fire off a Surf, see how much damage we're going to do, wait to tank that Earthquake, and see if it KOs us. But Hertz ain't having none of it. We get a critical hit, knocking out the Machamp, which means we would have done well over half with a single stab Surf. Hertz, you're an absolute animal, and we weren't even at the level cap. Wow. Out comes Arcanine. We fire off a stab, a super effective Surf after the Intimidate drop, which doesn't matter. Surprisingly, his Arcanine doesn't have or doesn't use extreme speed, so we one-shot it. Out comes his Gyarados, and once again we have a quad, super effective stab Thunderbolt. Pokemon Law, Gyarados has to die. Plain and simple. Gyarados goes down in a single shot, and last but not least is his trusty Pidgeot. We fire off a stab, a super effective Thunderbolt to one-shot it, however, it survives with a sliver of HP and it heals up with its Citrus Berry. You better not bring in the Farfetch'd with that whirlwind, you cheeky dude. Nope. Henry comes out. Well, that's too bad. I'm definitely going to outspeed you and KO you with another Thunderbolt. Good night, Blue. Thank you for the 8th and final gem of Kanto. Now that we have all 16 badges and we have the Rock Climb HM, we can pop our heads into the Cerulean Cave. I did grab Watt out of the box and taught it Flash, so that we can now traverse the Cerulean Cave for a very important item, and that is the Electrolyzer. Now we can use this to evolve our Electabuzz into Electivire, which we do, and I have never used an Electivire. This thing is a beast though, and I am excited. Also traded my Magneton to get a Magnezone. Now that we have our team fully decked out, it's time to do some serious grinding to get ourselves to the level cap of 88 so that we can take on the strongest trainer in the Johto Kanto region, Red. Here we are at the top of Mount Silver to challenge Pokemon Trainer Red, the ultimate challenge in the Johto Kanto region. He leads with Pikachu and I lead with Ferret. Pikachu does outspeed us to hit us with a Thunderbolt. It doesn't do a lot of damage, and we fire back with a Hidden Power Ground that cleanly one-shots the Pikachu. Out next is Charizard. I decide to stay in and go for Thunderbolt, but it outspeeds us to hit us with a Flare Blitz. Luckily for us, we were holding an Aqua Berry. I had prepared for this, so Flare Blitz doesn't do a lot of damage to Ferret. Thunderbolt cleanly one-shots the Charizard, and out comes Blastoise. After all of the hail, chip damage, and stuff, I decide to swap into Volt, and we get hit with a Focus Blast on this swap in. We fire back with a Thunder Punch that cleanly one-shots the Blastoise. That is 3 Pokemon down, 3 to go. Snorlax comes out, and we hit it with a Brick Break. Brick Break ticks health so slow, but it does well over half of its health, and Snorlax gets off a perfectly accurate Blizzard because of the hail, taking us down to 76 HP. We get to fire off one more Brick Break that cleanly takes out the Snorlax, and out comes Lapras as we are sitting on 46 HP, so I decide to swap into Henry. We get hit with a Brine on the swap in, we hit it with a Thunderbolt deep into the red health, and we get hit with a Blizzard to just under half of our health. Red then uses one of his full restores, and we hit Lapras with another Thunderbolt that cleanly one-shots it this time. Henry wasn't having any of it. Last for Red is his Venusaur, so we swap into Amp on a Giga Drain. It doesn't do a lot of damage to us because we resist it, and we fire back with a Signal Beam that takes it down to about 2/3 of its health. Hits us with a very strong Sludge Bomb down to 120 HP. I fire back with a Hidden Power Fire that takes it to a sliver of red health. Venusaur hits us with a Sludge Bomb all the way down to 6 HP, and it gets the dang poison. It's not the poison that takes us out though, it is the hail. That is our starter gone. Amp, rest easy, sweet princess. You were a beast. Hail doesn't take the Venusaur out, leaving it on a sliver of health as we send out Hurts. Red goes for another full restore, and we fire off an Ice Beam that does well over half of its health, and because Red decided to heal, we take out the Venusaur with another Ice Beam, winning us the battle against Red on the top of Mount Silver. Well, we did it. We completed all of the Johto stuff, we completed all of the post-game Kanto stuff, and we have officially beaten 2 regions with electric-type Pokemon. They're pretty strong. They have some really good attributes, speed, decent attack power. They just don't have a lot of type coverage. If it wasn't for Hidden Power and Natural Gift, some of these battles would have been pretty rough. What you guys didn't see behind the scenes was I used Natural Gift a lot in some of the random battles that we have to fight. The other side of running SoulSilver or Heart Gold is there is a lot of side quest stuff that we have to do with Team Rocket and all this other stuff. So this run did take a very long time to do. Plus all of the grinding that we did. My goodness, the EV training, the Pokeathlon, the coins. There was just a lot of stuff. So I really hope you guys enjoyed this episode. The name theme is pretty obvious. They are electrical words, right? Farad, Henry, Hertz, ohm, volt, amp, watt. It's all electrical terminology. So if you guessed that, congratulations, you get to watch next week's video. Yeah. And if you didn't guess it, you also get to watch next week's video. I really don't know what the bonus is. It's just the interactive part of the game. Now, I'm going to get this video all edited together. I actually recorded the voiceover and the canto section in one single day. I started at 8 a.m. and it is now 5 p.m. I am finishing up the voiceover, so hopefully I can get this thing edited and take a little bit of a break for the latter part of my week. Hope you guys enjoyed this episode. As always, if you did, please leave a like, leave a comment, consider subscribing if you're new to the channel. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you for the continued support, and I will see you on the next one.